Hello, this is Catherine Canty, and I am excited to be here today with you with our LinkedIn Live. I gave you a little preview of what the topic was going to be about, and we talked about last week about these monkeys that could be running the zoo. And when you're thinking about what could that possibly mean, who are these monkeys? These monkeys are our emails, our phones, our text messages, our paper mail, our Slack messages, our CRM systems. It's all these things that we have been trained to respond to. And today I just want to take some time and talk about how do we shift our mindset from these monkeys that are running the zoo into us coming back in and having a little bit more control over what's going on in this zoo that we live in this reactive mode that we live in. And if you don't mind, I would love it if you would let me know that you can hear me okay. If you can give me a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. I'm trying some new things right now and just want to see if you can hear me okay. Give me a thumbs up. That is going to help me figure out if some of these things that we're trying are working. So yeah, so today this topic came to me because I was talking with a very busy executive last week. This person looked at their calendar and they started counting, and they counted, and I'm listening to them count 8, 9, and I'm listening and I'm like, what are they counting? 10, 11. And the person said, 11 meetings got on my calendar today. How in the world did 11 meetings get on my calendar? And then this person looks at something else and says, I have 300 emails. How am I going to have 11 meetings today, 300 emails, and it's approaching the end of the day? How do I process this in order to continue to run the business? Because I'm hired to think and strategize and do this. And a lot of times we get so busy in the day-to-day, this stuff is coming at us like we are literally in a zoo, and we're just trying to respond and try to make it through the day. So, I started thinking about that, and this person's not alone. There are other leaders, other clients that I'm working with, are going through the exact same struggles. If you are there with them, if you can give me a thumbs up in the chat, I would love to hear you, to be able to share, or even on a scale of 1 to 10. Like 10, I am the zookeeper. Like there's that much craziness going on right now. Or one on a scale of 1 to 10, it's really not that crazy right now. I'm kind of in a nice lull. I want to hear from you guys. Is this something that's relevant, or is this not relevant? Because I want to be able to respond to you and respond to what the needs are. And just being able to hear from you is super helpful. So feel free to throw out there in the chat that, yeah, I am feeling like the zookeeper right now. And I'm trying to figure out how I can manage all of this that's coming at me. So when we are in these higher positions, and most of us who are here on LinkedIn, we have these more, these elevated positions. We are in leadership positions, and we're not just managing people, but we are leading people. We are setting the example and setting the tone. And a lot of times what we find out is the higher we go up in an organization, the less to doing we need to do. It's more about strategic thinking. It's about thought partnership. It's about forecasting where the business is going to be going in the next 90 days, 6 months, even further down the road, 3 to 5 years. And a number of CEOs that I've worked with over the years, they are consistently telling me the exact same thing. They can hire people all day long to enter information in spreadsheets. That is easy. Finding somebody who can copy and paste and pull reports, that's the easy job. The hard job to hire for, the hard job that is out there to locate, are the thinkers, are the people who are strategically bringing thought partnership to the table, who are considering what the market is doing, who is forecasting things, different scenarios before they even happen. They're not coming back to the CEO and saying, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. They're actually saying, hey, when this happens, this is what our game plan is. And in our take control event that we had not too long ago, we talked about the importance of just having a good plan and knowing that if we have a good plan, that is the first step in the right direction. And a lot of times a good plan is going to get us to where we need to be. It doesn't have to be perfect. And as a person who is recovering from perfectionism, yeah, sometimes we just need to go with the good plan. So, you know, these CEOs are looking for thought partners, they're looking for planners, they're looking for people who are anticipating what is going on out there. And if you see this is true in the place where you are, if you can give me a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. I would love to be able to hear from you, or if you want to let me know where you're coming in from, I would love that too. A lot of folks think I talk funny. That's because I'm in the Southeast. So it's kind of fun to get to hear where everybody's coming in from. And yeah, so when I'm talking to this executive, to other executives, it's just so easy to respond to everything else that's happening in the world around us. And I want to be able to break this thing down to how do we create practical applications. The folks that have poured into me over the years have always given me practical applications. And thank you, Lindsay, New Jersey. It's good to see you. Yeah, so practical applications for me stick. We can make things really hard, but if we can make it boil down into simple steps, it allows us to be able to create that change, to create that momentum. So today I want to break it down into 3 things. The first thing is, let's talk about zero-based calendars. The second thing is communication hierarchy. And the third thing is redefining expectations. And so when we talk about how are we going to manage the monkeys that are running the zoo, the monkeys are the emails, the texts, the Slack messages, the paper mail that still manages to show up. How do we manage all this, and how do we proactively handle this? And I feel like we can break this down into 3 things. First one is zero-based calendars, zero-based calendars. The second one is communication hierarchy. And the third one is redefining expectations. So if we break this down into the very first thing, which is zero-based calendars, if any of us have lived in corporate, which you probably are there now, if you've lived in corporate, if you've lived in a large business, if you've been out there working, we all have heard about zero-based budgeting. Let's start with the baseline of zero. What are we going to buy? What are we going to budget for next year? Assuming that we have zero money, zero funds, let's just start from scratch. I learned about this firsthand in corporate, and we would sometimes have years that just started with a zero-based budget. What if we look at our calendar, look at our task list, look at everything that we have pouring at us, and we just find if we start with zero, we are at ground zero. What are the key things that we need to identify that are going to deliver results? And a lot of you have heard of Pareto's principle, where we do the 80-20. We've done lots of time management exercises in the past where we look at the 80-20 rule. And really, if we just look at our calendar, pull out your calendar on your phone and identify for this week, because it's Monday, it's the beginning of a new month, just look at the week. I can probably guarantee you there are 2 or 3 things that have to happen this week that are going to be those vital items in your business that are going to deliver the results. I can probably guarantee you that it is not answering 300 emails. There's probably 1 email in there that's going to deliver the results. There's probably 1 phone call in there that's going to deliver 80% of that momentum that you need to create. So as you look at your calendar, consider zero-based calendar. Just like zero-based budgeting, look at zero-based calendars. So if you look at this and you start looking at across the whole calendar, what are the 1 or 2 things that you need to happen this week in order to get that 80% momentum that's going to deliver these expectations that you need for the rest of the month, the rest of the quarter, and the rest of the year? So if you want to write that down, I would encourage you to write down zero-based calendars as the first step towards controlling the monkeys that are coming at you 24/7, trying to take your time, trying to take your attention. So the very first thing is being able to look at your calendar and kind of look at it as a budget, zero-based calendars. And if you don't mind, in the chat, if you want to put where you're calling in from or letting me know yes or no if this is hitting home, that would really be helpful. All right, so we're talking about these monkeys that are running the zoo. The monkeys are running the zoo. The monkeys are the emails, the texts, the chats, the reports, the paper that shows up, just the inter-office mail. And the second thing that I want to talk about after zero-based calendars is communication hierarchy. Communication hierarchy, you know, when we think about all the different ways that people can communicate with us, there are tons of ways to do this. You know, there's old school handwritten notes. People don't do that anymore. And quite frankly, if you want to make a difference and you want to stand out, drop somebody a handwritten note, maybe on some stationery that even has your name on it. And you would be amazed next time you go out and see a client, see a customer, they would probably have that handwritten note on their desk, on the bulletin board in the break room. So few people are actually doing that. It really drives home a special emphasis that we probably have gotten away from over the years. So, handwritten notes are one thing. So we've got interoffice mail that's coming. We've got communications like text messages. We've got communications like emails. We have people that are calling us 24/7. We have scheduled meetings. We have conference calls. We have WebEx. We have Zoom. We have all these different things that are pouring at us. And it's just beginning to become overwhelming if we let it. And what I have found out working with clients is if we can create some hierarchy and let the people know that are around us that we need to consider, where does this hierarchy fall? So when I was working with a particular client on time management, and we're looking for small practical things that are going to implement long-term sustainable and accelerated growth, we started looking at people are calling this person 24/7. 24/7, the phone is ringing, it is out of control. There is no downtime. There is no think time. And if you're in a leadership position, you're getting paid to think. You're not getting paid necessarily to just run switchboard and phone calls day in and day out. So we started looking at this and we started saying, okay, do you have certain times of the day where you can take these phone calls? Can we start blocking out time for this? And we really laid out how are all the different ways people are reaching out to you right now. And a lot of folks, they just defaulted to phone calls. And I'm going to say something, and it may upset some of y'all, but I'm going to say this anyway. If we constantly answer the phone every single time they call, they have trained us and we're responding to them when they need us, no matter what they need, whether the house is on fire or whether they ran out of paper towels in the break room, they are trained to call us. How can we break that cycle of them having to call us 24/7? The first step, in my opinion, is to be able to share with these folks, and believe it or not, this works with clients and customers and setting expectations. I spent 20 years on the front line working with customers, working with clients, and delivering pretty good customer service, 5-star ratings out of 5 stars for even within 90 days in some new positions that I held. When we set realistic expectations at the front, when I talked to my CEOs who are my clients, and I said, when there's a problem, I would like for you to email this stuff to me. We will touch base on a monthly basis. If something comes up before then, shoot me an email. I will get back to you within 24 hours. That was my guarantee to them. And by God, I did everything I could to get back to them within 24 hours. If there is an emergency and you need my help, send me a text message. If the house is on fire and everything is falling apart, I need you to pick up the phone and call me, and only then pick up the phone and call me. Because if we can set up clear communications on the front end, my phone's going to ring less. I'm going to be able to respond better, think better, react better, because we have this agreement between the two of us. I know this sounds uber practical, but sometimes, as someone reminded me not too long ago, we don't need to relearn things. We just need to remember things. And if we can just remember some of this and maybe set realistic expectations, it makes it easier for that person and it makes it easier for us. So when I start thinking about 5 different levels of communication that are out there that I know that I can see. Level 5, the house is on fire. The building just fell down. We are in like DEFCON, whatever, like it's a bad deal. Pick up the phone and call me. Call my cell, call my office, call whoever you need to, but call me. When it is bad, call me. When it is sort of bad, it totally hasn't caught on fire yet, but we're heading in that direction. Send me a text. Level 4, send me a text. Send me a heads up. Let me know what's going on. Make it short, make it brief, but send me a text. Level 3, it's de-escalating at this point. Level 3, send me an email. I will get back to you within 24 hours. I was just talking with a leader not too long ago today, and he has somebody that is calling him all the time. And it is just an emergency and an emergency and an emergency. What he has found is if he lets it go to voicemail, and that leader is able to just push that call just for a few minutes. They may be in a meeting, whatever it may be. It's not trying to be rude, but it's just like, let them have the voicemail for a minute and experiment with it, maybe 1 or 2 times. What he has found is this person that is calling him because he thinks the house is on fire has the solution to the problem, usually within 5 minutes of leaving that voicemail. How many people are around you right now that if you let them make a decision, they're not going to go blow the whole budget, but you're going to give them enough rope just to go out there and be able to experiment and be able to possibly create a small success, possibly even fail so they can learn better for next time. But how many people, if you let them go to voicemail just for a few minutes and call them back within a reasonable time frame and let them know, hey, I'm calling you back. What if they actually said, I figured it out? What if you gave them the space to solve the problem themselves? So we all know who these people are. And if we let them know ahead of time, hey, I'm not going to be able to respond to every call because I will never be able to get anything done during the day, but I'm going to give you some space and I trust you and I want you to try to run with it. I don't want you to blow the whole budget, but if there's, within reasonable expectations, I would like for you to try to solve the problem yourself. You're empowering your team. You're gaining a few more minutes in your time, in your day, and you're not as responsive as maybe you once were. So if we look at these levels of importance and response times, we've talked about, level 5, the house is on fire, the building's on fire, call me. Like that's where we are. Level 5 is call me. Level 4, text me. It hasn't quite caught on fire yet, but it's probably heading that way. Shoot me a text, give me a heads up. Level 3, email me. Email me, I will get back to you in 24 hours. The next one are the LinkedIn messages. They're the DMs, they're the messages that are out there. I don't check those quite as often. And I'm kind of being transparent with everybody right now. I don't check my LinkedIn messages as often as I check my emails or as often as I check my text messages or as often as I check my voicemail. So, at some point we have to force rank how these communication hierarchies are working for us, not how we are working for them. So for me, LinkedIn messages, social messages, those are probably, a level 2, not real high. And then the very last, we get stacks of mail every day. So I get my stack of mail and I put it on the corner of my desk. And about once a week, I go through it. And it may be good stuff, maybe bad stuff. It may be whatever it is, but it is not a level 5 if somebody mailed me a paper letter. So if I look at communication hierarchy, this is the way I manage it. This is how I explain it to other people that I work with. So we have realistic expectations. I feel confident that this can work for clients. I feel confident it can work for folks inside an organization because those are your customers as well. You can have internal customers and you can have external customers. You don't have to have a frontline customer facing role to be able to have clear communication with the folks within the organization. They are part of your team just as much. So if we look at communication hierarchy, being clear is kind. Being able to share this information with other folks is extremely kind. And if you can let them know, and I see this happening even on LinkedIn messages, people will respond and say, I would love to chat with you. Here's my email. I just don't check this particular social account as often as I do my emails. So as the dialogue's going back and forth, we begin to move into emails or we begin to move into phone calls. And that's just the natural progression that I've seen other people who have successfully implemented practical applications to manage these monkeys that keep coming at us. So when we talk about communication hierarchy, level 5 is a call. Like the house is on fire, it is a call. If it is a level 4 of urgency, then we start looking at text messages. Give me a heads up. Keep it simple, give me a heads up. Level 3 is email me. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Level 2 is send a social message, a DM, whatever it may be. And level 5 is just the old school piece of paper that shows up in an envelope with a stamp or a box that's sitting on the desk. So if we're looking at how are we going to control the monkeys that are out there coming at us 24/7, I broke it down into 3 parts: zero-based calendars, communication hierarchy, and then this third one that we're going to talk about is redefining expectations. And we feel that, redefining expectations is okay if we let other people know that as we're growing, we're evolving, we're changing, and we're going to try some new things. And if we can clearly communicate with others that we're going to try something new, and maybe you're not going to marry it, but you can just try something new and let them know for the next 30 days, for this month, this quarter, you're going to try to be able to, really only take the phone calls when you know that there's a fire that's going on. You may not know that there's a fire, but if it's the same person who calls you 8 times a day, if you have 8 fires a day, like, we need to gain some perspective on which one of those is really a fire, and that's a whole different animal. But if we can let those people know that your 8 phone calls a day are no longer becoming relevant, it's just becoming too much of a hindrance of what we're trying to accomplish. How can we redefine, what is their goal and what do they need for success? Maybe we need to have a 30-minute phone call with them at the beginning of the day and to let them know that we believe in them, we support them, and we're here for them. Maybe that's what they need. We need to ask them, because 8 phone calls a day is not going to allow you to do what you were hired to do with your position. So, redefining expectations, whether it's internally, whether it's on the team, whether it is with clients, at the very front of any relationship that I have with clients, I let them know that I'll be getting back to them within 24 hours. I set expectations of what it's going to be. I try to let them know that it'll be the next day or 2 before I'll get back to them. Even if I don't have an answer, a lot of times I just don't have the answer within 48 hours, but I let them know I'm still working on it. And I always thought this was mind-blowing when I worked in corporate with my customers. They said, you always just get back to me. You may not have an answer, but you always get back to me and you let me know that you're still working on it and you haven't forgotten it. And sometimes just letting people know that you're still on the radar. I don't have any answers. The person I need to get with is on vacation. I'll get back with them when they get back next week. But just giving them that courtesy allows them to have some peace. And even speaking with a client earlier this morning, if you're providing a service to someone or a product to someone, you know the service, you know the product, you know it like the back of your hand. The person that you're supporting, they don't know it like you do. So when you provide them a little bit of information to make them feel better about their purchase, about that relationship, just give them a few bullet points, 2 or 3 things, just to be able to let them know, here are the next 2 or 3 steps. I'll be getting back in touch with you next week by the end of day Wednesday or the end of day Friday. By giving them clear expectations, clear communication, you're redefining these expectations and you are differentiating yourself from everybody else in the market. It blows my mind how few people are able to set realistic expectations and be able to create this communication hierarchy that's out there. So just wanted to post this video out here. I would love to hear, do you have any questions? If you have any questions in the chat, I would love to hear from you. Do you have any topics that you want to hear about next time? I will be here on Mondays at 1:30 Eastern, sharing LinkedIn Lives. My goal is to be able to continue to pay it forward. I have had so many people pour their experience into me over the past 2 decades that I always thought, man, if there's just a book I could read where I could learn this stuff, that would be fantastic. Unfortunately, I had to go through and I had to learn a lot of this. I read a lot of books, but I had to go through a lot of experiences. And what I have found is I want to be able to pay it forward for those people who gave me their knowledge. I want to pay it forward to anybody else who I can help. So here I am on LinkedIn Lives, trying something new, just trying to be able to share practical applications that continue to allow businesses to remain vital month after month, year after year, decade after decade. A lot of this good stuff that's going on, it is the same good stuff that was out there years and years and years ago. Take care of the customer, have clear communications, support people that you can, pay it forward. There's so many good practical applications. Sometimes we don't need to learn something new or learn something over. We just need to remember some of these practical applications that can continue to help us support our customers and our clients. So today I appreciate you dialing in. I wanted to just be able to talk about these monkeys that are running the zoo. And a lot of us have way too many emails. We have way too many meetings. And as we consider 3 different ways to begin to control and retrain these monkeys and not respond to them 24/7, we can begin to dissect different parts of our day to figure out how can we have an even more effective meeting based off of just kind of reining in some of these phone calls, reining in some of these meetings. And when we break this down, how are we going to even begin to control the monkeys in the zoo? I broke it down into 3 steps. The first one is called zero-based calendars. The second is communication hierarchy. And the third is redefining expectations. And so if you want to write that down, this is a great way to just begin to gain control back into your day, back into your week, back into your month. If we can look at our calendars, just like we do at the beginning of every year, the end of every year for budgeting, look at your calendar like it's a budget. Wipe that thing clean, start from scratch. Where are these key items? I bet there's only 2 or 3 key items that you need to put on that calendar to create the momentum, to create that success that you need for the rest of this week and this month and this quarter. The second thing is communication hierarchy. And I'm just going to reiterate, level 5, the house is on fire, pick up the phone and call me. You don't need to call me for any other reason, but if the house is on fire, call me. Level 4, text me. Level 3, email me. 2, send me a social message or a DM. And then the first level of communication hierarchy is just a good old-fashioned handwritten note. And then finally, redefining expectations. If we can let other people know that if they call us or if they email us, let them know how this works for us. Clear is kind. It's going to allow us to be able to build stronger relationships, trust in our relationships, stronger communication, and so much more. So if you have any comments or questions, I would love to hear from you. If you are catching the replay, I would love to hear one takeaway that you were able to take from this. And if you want to put it in the chat, I would love to hear from you. Just one takeaway, something from today. And again, thank you so much for being here. I will keep doing these LinkedIn Lives Mondays at 1:30 Eastern. And we're going to talk about practical applications that allow you to continue to deliver exceptional results. And my name is Catherine Canty. I am an executive coach and I am a podcast host of Business Vitality. I'm working with teams, businesses, individuals, and leaders, and we are implementing practical leadership applications that are delivering exceptional and momentum that is creating these results. So what we have found is we are testing these small behavior ideas. They're implementing them. They're creating momentum, and it is creating lasting and accelerating results. So thank you so much for being here. I love being able to share this with you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.